Haven't made a video in a couple of days because I've been really busy. Actually, for more than a couple of days. It's probably been a week or two since I've been super busy. Talk about burning the candle at both ends. I told myself I wasn't going to do that this year because last year I was working in my shed building furniture constantly, and then I was working 40 to 60 hours a week trying to work out, spend time with my kids, spend time with my wife, and everything just kind of got away from me, and I just ended up wearing myself thin. Told myself I wasn't going to do that this year, but here I am doing it again. So we're not working overtime, but I'm still working, which is very great. And then I got side work I'm doing right now as well. And then I also have my own projects to do, like this. Redoing the ceiling in here because I originally put cardboard up here because I got tired of the rats using the restroom on my equipment. And then I got tired of the way that the cardboard looked, so I taped it up and I painted it. And then I got tired of the way that looked because the tape started falling down. On the other side of the gym, it held up great because I used good paint, like a $50 paint. This side I used some cheap $10 paint. A gallon of paint was like $13, $10 or something like that at Walmart. It was really thin and really watery, but I was like, it should hold up just fine. But this side, all the tape started falling down. That side, the tape was still perfect. But I figured if I'm gonna go ahead and do one side, I might as well do the other. And what I did was, instead of actually putting it up and tape texture and floating it, I ran these little strips. These are like 5/8 or 3/4 by 3/4 strips. I ran those on each side of the rafter. And then I just cut these down to 2 foot by 4 foot, 3 foot, 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches, 8 foot, whatever I could get, because I went to my local hardware store and said, do y'all have any damaged drywall? And they said yes. And it was $2 a sheet. $2 for an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet. And as you can see, I got a bunch of little pieces here. So they were damaged. So I had a friend who was like, hey, why don't we just hang them? Why don't we just hang them regularly? And I said, I can't do that. It's going to be a lot more work to tape texture and float it if I do that, because of they're all damaged and broken up and cracked. So I just got to cut what I can get out of each sheet. So I bought 30 sheets and I had 4 left over. So for $62, I was able to hang roughly around 860 square feet of ceiling. And they're put in there like drop panels. Y'all don't know what a drop panel ceiling is. It's quite simple. It's just the panels that drop in. I'll show you guys here. See, they're not actually like put in. Well, of course, this one's going to be a tightly fitted one, right? Just because I'm trying to make a point. Just because I'm trying to show y'all. Let me go and use one of these over here. Hold on. Let me try this one instead. Yeah, there we go. See? They're just put in like drop panel. They just sit up inside there. So that way, if I decide to insulate it, I don't have an attic door, I can just remove one of these panels, any one of these panels, and I can crawl up in there. Or I can just pop my head up in there and just blow the insulation in. And then come down like a gopher or a prairie dog, pop my head up, blow in some insulation. Drop down, move over here, pop my head up in there, blow in some insulation. If my roof ever starts, I'm moving the camera a lot, sorry about that, guys. So if my roof ever starts to leak and I get water damage or water spots, it's as simple as just replacing one panel instead of having to cut out a whole spot, having to tape it, texture it, float it, or anything else. I mean, it's a garage, it's a gym. So this is gonna serve 2 purposes. Actually, quite a few purposes. One, the rats and rodents are no longer going to be able to defecate on my equipment, which is wonderful. 2, when the air conditioning units are running, instead of the air going up into here, because at first, it seemed like it was colder up there before I even had cardboard than it was down here. Then, put the cardboard up. Still felt like there's a lot of cold air going up there, and then because all the edges weren't done, like 2 feet around every edge wasn't done, just the ceiling spot over the equipment. So it would pull a vacuum from up there down into the unit, so it wouldn't really cool down that great. But now it's going to be completely sealed up, so it's going to keep the rats from using the restroom. It's going to cool it down better in here, and it's going to look better. As far as it goes for lights, I was going to buy LED light bars, and I was going to like run LED light strips, or I was going to buy recessed lights, and I was going to recess the lighting. But all that was going to be around $200 or more. So instead, all I did was just take my existing light fixtures and adjust them to where the bulbs just barely peekaboo out. You want recessed lighting, there's your recessed lighting. And they're LED, so they don't get hot. That's the best part. So the lights barely peekaboo. So instead of spending $200 on that. So total, I spent $100 on primer and paint and $60 on drywall. So for $160, I was able to redo my whole garage ceiling. And the strips, I already had all the wood, so I didn't have to buy any of that. I have a table saw, I had a bunch of wood, so I cut down a whole bunch of little strips to hang it up. I'm gonna get this thing painted. I'm excited. And it's done. Thanks to my wife and Richard, we all got in here and knocked it out. Completely blacked out. So this cost me $62 with the drywall because it was $2 a sheet for the broken stuff. And then I cut these little strips down to 5/8 or 3/4. I can't remember. I think it was 3/4 by 3/4. And 2 cans of primer, 2 cans of paint. A grand total of like $120 to do it all. Not too bad. A couple little spots in here I'm going to hit with some spray paint like this up behind me where we had the drywall broken. Can't really get that with a brush or a roller, so we're about to hit it with some paint. Not too bad for a little over $100. I think it looks good. I'm just going to do a job.